There was a horrible bombing in Bulgaria. A bus containing Israeli tourists was bombed. 5 have been confirmed dead that were Israeli tourists, 8 dead overall, including the Bulgarian bus driver, 2 horribly injured, 1 guy with burns over 55% of his body. And I tell you that because you should have a sense of how horrible it is to kill civilians. Now, it seems very obvious, right? But there's so many wars raging through so many countries now. You know, the other day there was a suicide bombing in Syria, and some of our conservatives cheered on. Well, I thought we were against suicide bombings, right? Now, that was against a military target, so that's, of course, a little different. But here, civilians were killed, and now that's an interesting story in and of itself, but it takes another turn because now Bulgarian officials are saying the person responsible might have been Mehdi Ghazali. Now, who is he? He's a Swedish citizen who was a former Guantanamo detainee. Is it confirmed that it's him? No. Now, be very careful about this. What often happens is the U.S. and their allies often puts out wrong information in the beginning. That's when everybody reports it. 2 days later, they'll put out the right information, and hardly anyone will correct it, or if they do, it'll be buried at the bottom of the newspaper where nobody will watch it. Now, I say that partly because Sweden has denied reports that it is him. Now, that is his country of origin. So we don't know yet. There is no confirmation yet. Bulgaria says they have fingerprints, but that they did not test them yet. They just think it might be Ghazali. Now, that's a great talking point for neoconservatives and Republicans back here at home, because they get to say, you see that? We knew it. We shouldn't have released anybody from Guantanamo. Now, even if it is true, I get the opposite message from that. Why? Because we found out through WikiLeaks that Ghazali was held basically for the wrong reason. He was in Pakistan in 2001 at the time. They grabbed him, as they did with a lot of people in Pakistan and Afghanistan. They put him down in Guantanamo Bay. They hold him for 2 years, from 2002 to 2004. And we find out, now WikiLeaks didn't make this up. All WikiLeaks does is report internal files that the U.S. had. This is their assessment. Well, they said that they wanted to hold him to give, quote, general and specific information of the cultural, religious, and ethnic recruitment of foreign nationals participating in the Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. Whoa, do you understand that? So they didn't think he was guilty of anything. They didn't think that he was trying to attack us. Here's the U.S. admitting in internal filings, we just wanted to hold him at Guantanamo Bay, a lawless area, for 2 years against his will, so we could find out the cultural reasons why people go to Saudi Arabia for the Hajj, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with it, what every devout Muslim is supposed to do. It doesn't make you guilty of anything except for being a religious and faithful person, okay? So you're holding people down there because you want to study their culture? He didn't volunteer for this experiment. So apparently they detained this guy for all the wrong reasons, and they knew it. And they kept him in one of the worst prisons in the world for 2 years. Now, if it turns out he did the bombing, it is unacceptable in every way imaginable. But at the same time, let me ask you something. If they hold you in one of the worst prisons for 2 years, and they knew that what they were doing was totally illegal, wouldn't you kind of hate that government? Wouldn't you be a little angry at that government? Now, even if you were, it doesn't even come close to justifying this action if it is him. Why? First of all, this isn't the government that held you. Israel is not the United States of America. Yes, they're close allies, but hitting a random Israeli bus in a random country like Bulgaria is not the way to go about it. Second of all, civilians are not a proper target. It doesn't take courage to hit civilians with a bomb when they don't see it coming. It doesn't take courage to kill innocent senior citizens and others and families that are on a tourist trip, okay? That's not the right way to go. But if the message that the neocons want to put out there now is, well, you see, if we ever put anybody in Guantanamo for any reason, we should keep them forever, thereby continuing that injustice forever, that is not the right conclusion to get from this story at all. And of course, my guess is that is what the majority of our media in America will report dutifully today, as they say, well, it's reports out, Ghazali, Ghazali, Ghazali. Former Gitmo detainee. That's what they'll say, right or wrong, and whether it gives people the correct context or not, that apparently they think is not their business, when in reality, of course, that should be the exact business of the press.